Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Thursday. It's June 2nd. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And I thought I'd start out showing you the daily chart. You can see we bounced off that previous resistance. It acted as support. We also bounced off the EMA there, the purple in the middle. And really nice, strong rally day. And we're continuing higher after the open at 5 o'clock again today. So we'll see where this thing goes, but I mean, it looks like it's going higher. That's what I talked about previously. I really was hesitant to commit to it's going higher because every time we've gotten burned and it's sold off again. But and we could just trade a little higher here and sell off again. You just don't know. But at this point, this looks pretty bullish. It looks like we may continue higher for now. So we'll see. Let's flip over to the intraday chart and let's go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day and this week. Okay, real quickly before we get to the trades in the chart here, I am I'm actually obviously no chart lesson tomorrow. If you're new to us, new here, I don't do a chart lesson on Fridays. A lot goes into making these videos, probably 2 hours out of my day every day. So it gets to be a little bit monotonous doing them 5 days a week. So I've dropped back to only 4 and trying to get out of here early on Fridays and get a little bit of break from it. So no chart lessons tomorrow. And there may not be any chart lessons on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. I've been invited to go on a fishing trip. I really have a lot going on and don't need to leave. So I hadn't made up my mind yet, but it's really hard to turn this trip down. It's a fun trip, and I don't get a chance to do it very often. So I probably am going to take those 3 days off and go on this fishing trip. I just hadn't made up my mind yet. I'll probably contemplate on it tomorrow and Saturday and make up my mind by Sunday. So if I go, if you don't see a chart lesson Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, you'll know why, because it means I went on this fishing trip. And so just be aware of that. Anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I'm kind of dragging this on, but anyway, I haven't made up my mind, but I'll let you know either way. And or actually, you'll find out if there's no chart lesson. You'll know why. I guess that's why I'm really kind of telling you here. And of course, there'll be notifications on the website and stuff that I'm away for a few days. But here's a look at today, and you can see the huge rally. And notice we had that failed break lower. There was support across here, and that often becomes a very important low. And we rallied from there, and this thing picked up steam, and boom, it was off to the races. Huge day. And you can see we didn't quite make that measured move. I talked about that. If we didn't make that measured move, it might mean we might rally stronger in the other direction. That's what that usually leads to. And until really right in here, you had to consider this could just be a mixed day where we're up and down, kind of like we did yesterday. I mean, even though we rallied some late yesterday, it was still a mixed day because it was down strong and then it was up fairly strong, then it was sideways and back down. Even though it's not a technical range day, it's still a mixed trading type of day. And so you had to be concerned, would today be a mixed day if we didn't sell off and make a second leg down, or will we rally on out of here? My gut feeling was we would rally higher if we did start rallying, and man, did we rally. So but the daily chart was hinting at it, and you just have to get that follow through before you really know. But the daily chart was hinting that we might go higher today, and sure enough we did. We went much further than I thought we would. So pretty nice rally here, actually. How long it'll last, I'm not going to say, because every time we do rally, we run into some stiff selling, and then it sells off hard again. But let's zoom in. Let's go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day and this week up. Let me just try to get this zoomed in a little bit bigger so it's easy enough to see. Okay, 7 o'clock came right in here as we pretty much made this double top, and then we came back again and tested. So you got a triple top, and this is a lower high. I marked this in green simply because it's a huge bar. I think it's 30 something ticks, 32 ticks. So I mean, prices have already moved a long way down for you to enter right here. So it's a very bearish bar though, so probably it's hinting that prices going lower. And you see it took a minute, prices just kind of chopped sideways, and then finally the bottom kind of fell out of it. But there's, I mean, this fits our criteria if you don't mind risking that large bar, and for that reason I made it green. Then we're just too congested here. This one is a possibility as well because it does break higher, and you really could argue you've got another range here, but you would expect it to come back, which it does come back and test it before it breaks lower. So technically I like that trade, but this turns out to be your signal bar. I still think you could probably argue for that to be green if you really wanted to take, because you could have taken it on the engulfing bar, but if you take it on the engulfing bar, I don't know if there's enough room in there to scalp out or not. Let's just find out. So that's the problem with that. Yeah, see, there's not enough room. There's maybe 4 ticks if you're lucky, and but the bottom does fall out. That's. I mean, we tried to go higher enough there that eventually you're probably going to go lower. But you got to be careful trading out of that congestion like that, because it could. This is what you would expect to happen: it to pull back and test it. But if it holds, we're probably going lower, and that's what happened there. But like I always tell you, if you're just patient and wait, it won't be long till an easy setup will come along, and then look, you get an easy second entry short right here. Nice signal bar, triple test too, basically. Lots of reasons like that. And look, if you catch that one trade, I mean, if you get a runner here, depending on how you play it, I mean, there's 14 points on a single runner. I mean, you only need one trade like that. And then we get another second entry here, but doesn't set up right. Lower high here, signal bar is no good there. And then we make this new low. So now you got a break and a new low, and you get a second entry long way away from the EMA, and after a break below that. This is very risky, but again, sometimes those pay off. Maybe you take that, but if you're just patient, a few minutes later you get another second entry here, and again, you could have entered on the engulfing bar here and got a lot more out of that one. But I don't know if I'd go along with a 31 tick bar, but when this broke lower and failed and went higher, I don't have any problem buying that on that engulfing bar if you like that. It's probably a little more advanced, so for you newbies, be careful trying to trade these trades, because I know every time I talk about a trade like that, somebody will come back, well, it was an engulfing bar, and you showed a trade where you traded an engulfing bar, and why didn't it work? And so just be careful. And here's another one here, and I didn't mark this one. Technically, you could have taken this one too. Problem with this one was right into the EMA, and again, it's how many ticks here? 27. I mean, you could argue for it. There's probably going to be a bunch of green ones in here I didn't mark, just because there's so many trades today. And just be patient, and you can find plenty of easy trades. And if you just wait another, even if you don't take this, if you wait another minute, you get this easy triple test here. It took it a minute to work out, but it does. You get a lower high here. The problem with this one is you got that congested looking, or that no body bar, and so this is congestion. There is still room to get out. The signal bar is just kind of iffy. It closes above the EMA. I just didn't like that one. And you got this channel run, trend channel running down. You get a close outside new low, and it takes off higher. This is too sideways looking here. You could have traded this higher or low. Again, I didn't mark it. You could have traded this one easily. Again, it's another engulfing bar. And I don't know if you want to wait till here. And it was a little iffy taking that engulfing bar below the EMA there. Of course, on a range, when you're in a range, you don't worry too much about the EMA, because you can see it goes back and forth between it. And if you worry about the EMA, you usually can't even take any of these trades, and you'll miss some good trades. So, but it's just something to consider. Again, you could argue for that one. The better trade was to wait for here, and you get another little double top right there with a bearish bar right off the the resistance area. And look how consistent that is. That's what you want to see. That makes it real easy trading when it's consistently. The lows are not as consistent, but this was more of a downward bias here because we traded down into this. So these shorts are really good setups. And then, of course, you get another bounce here on a second entry. Of course, we're not looking for second entries here, but if you get one and it is a second entry, which means there's two legs down there, pay attention to it. And that turns out to be a really nice trade. Look at it go. Again, maybe the only trade you need today. We run up, we get a break, and we try to go higher, and it fails and turns down instantly. As long as there's room back to that EMA, I like that trade. I marked it green because it's just a first entry, and it's a lower high, but we've moved a good bit. But we're not back to the EMA yet, which would be your minimum target there. And we're probably coming back to test this at a minimum. And we actually just keep on going. This just turns out to be a failed break higher, and boom, off it goes. I didn't mark any of these others. You could argue for this to be a failure here. It didn't quite get back to the EMA, but it did confirm the trend line, and that would be a good reason. But the problem is that signal bar is just humongous. So, I mean, it's 25 ticks, and so you're risking going short way down here, that far away from the EMA when we didn't even get back to it there. But it's one to consider. Now we've just gotten too far. There's a second entry here, but the signal bar is no good. And then we do get a break and new low, and then we rally out of here. And notice you get a first entry, and then you get a second entry, and it fails. So when it breaks above this green bar, that's a failure. Your safety stop has to go above the bar to the left of the green bar right here. And so that's where your safety stop goes, but your entry is one tick above this bar, or either let it break higher and drop a limit order and see if it comes back. But I don't like waiting on that. I think because sometimes you'll get an easy scalp and then it reverses on you. So you got to be real careful. And this is a reversal, and this is an advanced setup. If you're not a super skilled chart reader, just don't even worry about these, because all you're going to do is have a bunch of losers and slow your learning curve. I talk about that a lot, and people just don't listen to me. But you have to learn the hard way sometimes. And but I'm telling you, and so don't say Mac didn't tell you. If you're new to chart reading, don't take reversals. They're complicated. They're for skilled traders. They're not. You need to learn the basics and be very good at the basics, and then these will come to you organically, and they'll be natural and they'll be easy. But until then, they're very hard, and you're going to have a lot of losers, so just be careful with them. But we're still trending up. You can see the trend line clearly. We get a triple test right off of it. Look at that nice signal bar. Plenty of room to that high. I like that one. There's a pull back here on a high or a low, but I'm a little less likely because we should have taken on off there, and we didn't. And we still didn't even on that one. So I'm a little leery. Plus, you're right back at these highs again. So that's one of the concerns. It ends up pushing on through there, and there's just no way to catch this big move. There is a second entry right here. I didn't mark it because if this bar would have broken higher, I'd say take that trade. But when this bar can't break above it, that's not a good sign. It ends up going higher, but just be careful of that. You could argue for it to be green, but because these both close very similar, but I'd skip that trade because we just came off the highs. First, it looks like this is the highs, but it's just a two-tiered channel. We just came off the highs, so the goal is the target is back down here. So there's a good chance it could break higher and trap you. So I don't like that trade. I wouldn't take it. It's congested. Look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 bars sideways there. Just skip that trade. And then, of course, that's what we do. We work back down to the trend line, and we actually get a break and a move to a new high. And I don't see any real safe way to enter this trade. You don't get a high or low. You don't get a reversal. You don't get anything. It just takes off. So, unfortunately, it's just not a way to enter that trade. We back up here. Here's a good example. Notice how we get a first entry, and then we just shoot right through the EMA. And you got those two bars stacked side by side, and notice how that one breaks higher, touches the EMA and fails. Even though it ends up going higher, it stops you out before it does it. And that's why you got to be careful with those trades. As long as that channel's in play, I just sit tight. And prices try to test the low here on this channel coming down, and they can't do it. They just go higher. So that tells you there's something going on, a strong trend. And again, you don't really get a chance to enter this trade. It just takes off. You get a close outside, new high, it bounces. You get a first entry, and then you get a second entry. I like this one because now you know you've got a strong trend. Everything's still above the EMA. It's even kind of questionable right there if we got a convincing close outside. So prices will probably make another high even if we're going back to the other side of the channel. And it ends up we're only going, the market's so strong we want to go back to the midline. We don't even consider going back here. So, but when you get the reversal here, I marked that one. It probably should have marked this green because again it's an engulfing bar. And I'm not sure which way this broke first. I think it broke higher, traded down here, and then went back up. So, but technically you could, even after this closed, when it closed back down here, you could put another buy stop or a limit order one tick above that. And if it goes back up again, you're probably in business. So I marked it. There's a triple test here, but I wouldn't be taking any shorts now. Now the bias is up, so you're going to look to buy the lows more than the highs, and that does look a little congested. I just think it's too risky. Even though we're looking for prices to come back down, this thing has gotten way too strong. If you took it, I think it's risky, but I could, it is a triple test. This channel has played out. The blue channel is not really confirmed. I mean, you could argue it's confirmed because it does get two touches there, but I'd want to see another test. I mean, it's obvious it's valid because you can see the midline playing. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I just think it's too risky there. And then, of course, we come down here and then we bounce again on a higher low, still in this range, and prices just end up pushing up higher. And notice we come back and test the breakout there and then get a higher low on a second entry long, and this trend line was confirmed here. I like going long there. And then we just kind of work sideways back here until you get a break. Unfortunately, this was an inside bar, so this was a signal bar, and I didn't mark that one. And I don't think you want to be taking any shorts yet still. And we come back to the midline once again, and we've bounced here a few times now, so when it comes up and tries to go lower once, and then goes higher and turns back down, tries to go lower again, and then breaks higher. That's a failed second entry. It's not ideal, but it is a failed second entry short, so you may take that trade in such a strong trend. It's basically going to be called a higher low too. So there's a couple of different reasons to maybe like that trade. Takes it a minute, comes on up, and then it turns back down, and that takes us into 230. So we didn't really get a chance to get another setup there. So really strong day. Yeah, unfortunately, this was where your big moves were, and unless you caught a runner down here somewhere, you probably just missed these two legs up here that are pretty strong. But you got some more chances here late in the afternoon. And the morning you had so many opportunities in the morning. It was just a lot of them. And again, there's others in there you could probably argue to be green if you really wanted to take them. But there's just so many good trades. Why risk one? So, I mean, early in the morning like this, yeah, because you got all day. But as the later you get in the day, the less chances you want to take because you don't have time to make it up. If you have a loser here early in the morning, well, you got most of the day to make it up. But if you get a loser up here late in the afternoon, you may not get another setup to make it up, and you may not have time. So you got to be, the later the day gets. That's the reason I do most. It's very rare that I ever take a trade after lunchtime. And even rare, I mean, most of the time I'm done by 10 o'clock or so. But there are some days where you just don't get any trades and you have to trade a little longer. But for whatever reason, the morning trading usually is more organized, easier to see, and you have less traps and fake outs. Doesn't mean you don't have them, don't get me wrong, but that's my experience. And the afternoon is usually tougher, and you get trapped more, and you get stuck in trades and things. So just be careful late in the day. Take only sure things late in the day, and don't take anything after 2:30. If you're in a trade, I'm not saying close a trade at 2:30. If you're in a good runner, if you've got a good runner and prices are still running, stay with that trade. Just don't take any new trades after 2:30. That's the rule basically. And today was one of those days where it just keeps going. You can see what happens up here late in the day. I mean, if you get stuck in that long, even though prices were probably going higher, you probably got stopped out before it did. So you got to be real careful in that stuff that late in the day. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. It's going to wrap up our week. Hope you had a good trading week. We had a short week this week, and maybe shorter for me next week, but as far as trading goes, because I may take that fishing trip. Just not sure yet. I'm leaning towards going, but I haven't made up my mind. I've got some other things going on that I really don't need to be going anywhere right now. But it's hard to turn down a fishing trip, a good one especially. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. Maybe I'll see you Monday or maybe Thursday. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, I'll see you next week at least one day for sure. And if I do leave, maybe I'll do a chart lesson on Friday to make up for one of the days, because I'll probably want to trade a little longer on Friday anyway, unless it's a really easy day and I'm done early again. So maybe we'll do a chart lesson Friday too next week if I take Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday off. But I'm done for today. I'm done for this week. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.